Hi everyone, thanks for joining. My name's Mark Lamswood. I'm the Regional Director for Cornerstone Content, and I'm joined today with my colleague Tricia Lee.
Hi, good morning.
What we want to do is give you just 30 minutes, a quick snapshot around our thoughts around learning and learning content specifically, how we've both developed the relationships with content partners across the globe, but also then looking at the learning platform today, how it looks and feels. So I'll try and make it slide light, and we'll make it demo heavy. No pressure. So, bit of context first of all. What's going on?
That's it.
Yeah. No, it's not. Okay, technical problem. You make the slides work. That's trying to give you some context. Hooray! So we know first of all that within workplace today there are some issues regarding things that we're calling things like the fourth industrial revolution, the skills gap, the skills economy, and we know that through the research that we've done, both actually in the UK but globally then in the US with the Institute for the Future in San Francisco, that there are definitely some problems. CEOs recognise it, and we also know that many feel that the companies that are not equipped to cope with these changes. So we know there's an issue with skills, we've got to put some learning in place, and we need to do so in a really engaging way.
Okay.
So what we do is we've looked at Jane Hart's 5 stages of learning. You'll all have seen this probably before. Actually, it's been updated. There should be more to it. There we go. It's a bit slow. Most organisations can identify that they're somewhere on here, or that they might be in multiple places on here. Where we know we've all got to get to is what we're calling modern workplace learning. What do we mean by modern workplace learning? So it's rethinking what we think of training and learning today. So if we go forward to the next slides, I think, yep. So just rethink about what learning and training really means to you today. This is what we used to do. This is now what we know people are looking for within the workplace. Some of the key things that are really important within here: digital continuous, learner-driven, AI-assisted. Lots of talk about AI and ML. That's not me, Mark Lamswood, that's machine learning. But the idea is, we know now that we have high expectations of what we expect from our learning management system, but then the learning that we find within it. One of the things that was great within Cornerstone is what I call the power of 3. Today when we look at learning, we look in the middle section, what we call a learner experience platform, or an LEP. But the great thing with the LEP for Cornerstone is it sits on top of the left-hand side, which is of course our LMS. That's the full breadth and depth of learning functionality. It's your systems record. It has your HR feed. But what you want is then to be able to turn something on within learning that's particularly engaging. It's very easy for people to use and allows you to move across to modern workplace learning. So then I represent the team on the very right-hand side, Cornerstone Learning Content. We've actually been around for 16 years. We've had a bit of a rebirth in the last 2 years, where we're actually looking at what modern workplace learning means, how we provide that to you, and how we work with some of the best partners currently available in the content market. So if you think about the people we have around here today, we currently have 36 content partners that work with us, where I can come out to you, talk to your organisation, and provide you with bundles of some of the best content around multiple providers. People like Skillpill over here on the left-hand side were Cornerstone's Content Partner of the Year last year. We can provide their content, but then we can mix and match that with perhaps some micro-learn. They're here today. Or some filtered. So there's great ways of putting and bundling content together, and we'll come on to that in a moment. But my team then looks at the learning content, and what I wanted to do is show you how the LEP, or rather get Tricia to show you, how the LEP can actually make all of that work together. So over to Tricia.
Right. Okay. Is that better?
Whew.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. Thanks, everybody. So what Mark's been talking about is how the content services team Mark and his wonderful team can look across all of the different content providers and start to curate the right library of content to fit your business. Now that's really important because it saves you a huge amount of time from you having to look across all those providers, and also to worry about whether your learners are getting the right content at the right time. So that's the kind of level to think about, is the content library that we've selected right for our business? What the platform will then start to do is to curate that at a learner level. And we've all talked and heard so much about the consumerisation of learning, making the learning platforms look like things that people use in their everyday lives, whether that's Amazon, Spotify, Netflix. So that's where the platform starts to take over and consumerises and delivers at an individual learner level. So how many of us have used Netflix at home at some point? I'm expecting lots of nods here. So when you start an account with Netflix, what do they actually know about you? Well, they know probably two things: your name and your credit card number, right? And that's probably it. Whereas when we start to look at Cornerstone and we look at the way that we set our solution up, we know an awful lot more about your learners than just their name and maybe their email address. We know what job they're doing, how long they've been at the organisation, what grade they are, which language they speak, which location they're in, and any other information that you might like the platform to use in order to drive that personalised learning experience. So when we start to look at our learner homepage, our learner experience, which is what I'm on now, the first thing some of you might be thinking is, well, our business is very compliance driven. Where does that piece fit in? Where do we deliver the learning that we want people to take on a regular basis, and we measure it and we report on it? Well, that's the very first part of what's going on this page, and I'm using it on my iPad today just to show you that it's totally mobile. And first of all, we start to see all the things that this learner is supposed to be doing because it's his job and it keeps him safe and it keeps him compliant. So all the things that you're pushing out to your learner: what's out, what's due soon, what might not have a due date. But then we start to look at how we can pull in the machine-driven learning, how the system is curating your library to fit the individual learner, allowing them to select learning and continue on with it, things that they might spot and save for later, and then also how the machine's driving out things that are most popular for their job role, featured learning that you might want people to have a look at and take, and then the system starts to work further and suggests more learning based on what other people in their job role are taking as well. So all the time the system and the machine is curating at an individual level. And all the imagery that you see here can either be supplied by Cornerstone or it can be supplied by yourself if you've got, you know, branding that you want to have that's part of your learning experience. So once our learners start to pick up on this, and there's all kind of content in here, you can see how long a piece of learning is. You know, it might be a 15-minute piece of learning, half an hour piece of learning. As Mark said, everybody's now looking at those micro-learning items where you can just take something in a few minutes, learn something new, and then apply it in your job. So when we start to see this learning, individuals can do a couple of things with it. They can launch it from here, of course, or they could also save it for later. So we've got this now in our save for later list. Or the next piece here is adding to a playlist. So the next level of consumerisation for our learner is being able to curate for themselves and share with their peers. So how good can it be if we as individuals can think, I've been on a job learning journey, I'm going to take the items of learning that I've used and put them into a playlist and share it with my peers. So more on a sort of a Spotify type level here now. So if we look at our learner's top area of the page here, we can see that he's created one playlist, but he's following 3 other people's playlists. So as they update and curate their playlist further, he's getting that delivered into his learning experience page as well. So a playlist, let's go not look at what he's created, but let's look at what he's following, sorry. I beg your pardon. So his playlist here is how to be a star new hire. He created this. Other people are following it. And he can open this up and have a look and see what's inside this particular playlist. So as he's gone through, he's been able to take anything from the library, curate it into this list, but also to take external content if you would like him to. So let's say he's gone away and found a piece of learning on YouTube or on a website in some area that he's specifically interested in. He can also add that into his playlist as well. And he can go ahead and share this, make it public, and then other people can find it using the search engine at the top of the screen there. So I could just tap in something like leadership, and other people's playlists will also start to appear in the search results that I've used there as well. So what's he following? If we go have a look at the playlists again, we can also see that he's also following, or it has been followed by other individuals. So these are the ones that he's also looking at that other people have created. So if he's interested in leadership or mentoring or change navigation, he can go in and have a look at anybody else's playlist and work through that as well. So you've got these different levels of curation. Mark and his team will put together a broad library based on your requirements. The system, the machine, will start to drive learning at an individual personalised level through the learning experience platform. And then the final level here is that each learner can start to take the learning that he finds or she finds, put it into a playlist, and then start to share that with their peers. So very much consumerisation around the kind of the Netflix and the Spotify. Back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
You want your slides back?
Yes, please. So what we're seeing there is that we know that consumerisation is often talked about, probably an overused term, but both within learning, the idea of also then within the playlist functionality that we have. But what we've got to do is, I use an old library analogy. The LMS is the library, the content's the books that you put on the shelf. What we need to do is we need to look at the transition that we make for how we get that content onto the library. And essentially there's just two really simple ways that my team would be able to help with that. Just wait for the next one to come through. What we have is, I talked before around the partner network that we have. We keep using some of the more modern sort of Netflix and Spotify type analogies. The Netflix bit works for me. I used to be a Cornerstone client. I worked at Virgin Media, so cable TV. So we have a base package. We have a subscription model now that we have available, which is deemed as being that Netflix element. The reason why people come to work with us, first of all, just four main reasons that we've tended to see, is that people will be dealing with large, complex catalogues. They'll have very large learning catalogues that perhaps haven't had any good housekeeping for many years, and it's gotten to be a very complicated and difficult structure. Makes it difficult for you to be able to manage, but also for people to find the learning. Complex vendor management. Typically, when a Cornerstone client wants to look at purchasing content, so they want to put the books on the shelf, they might need to go out and broker conversations, get procurement involved, and go and speak to all of the partners that you'd like to see within your mix. That actually starts to take time and gives you pain of its own to be able to deal with. We don't want that to be the case, so if you were to look at the content solution through Cornerstone, you only deal with Cornerstone. My team and I will broker all of those relationships for you, so we just try and make that process as simple as possible. Top down versus bottom up. So if you think about the LMS and the LEP, or the Learning Experience Platform, we've tried to give a solution that delivers both types of training. So whether you're compliance driven as an organisation, you have to push training out, or you want to get that consumerisation and you want to get learners engaged and start to share their learning, like using the playlist functionality, we feel that the LEP sitting on top of the LMS gives the best of both worlds. We've also started working with a team to look at manual curation, to be able to make the curation of learning far simpler for you. So what we have now done is Cornerstone has looked at some research, looked at the past 20 years of learning record that we have, and we've just identified a really simple learning taxonomy structure. We think it's one that will power up both the AI and the ML within the technology to provide a much better and more enhanced experience. We want something that's really simple, it's plug and play, that people get engaged and actually want to use, but actually it's being powered up by the technology in behind it. We can move on to the next. Okay.
There you go.
So 3 options really available today, 2 are actually one and the same. Content Anytime is the Netflix of learning, the subscription model. This is a plug and play solution of around 2,500 courses. In Europe it's through 5 providers, it's split across 9 taxonomies, and it's available in some multiple languages. We also have custom curated packages. I was saying before, we have 36 content providers today. My team and I can take you through who they are, what the right type of learning is for you. You pick the bundle of your choice, and then we deploy that into the platform for you. We do the hosting and integration. What we've done is we all come from either an ex-client or an administrator background, and we know how difficult it can be to get sometimes content to work on your portal. So again, the team will do that bit for you. So we help you design the bundle for you. On the right hand side, that's new, this was announced last week at Convergence in San Diego, Cornerstone's large client conference each year, where we're now going to build on the subscription model. I was talking cable TV, talking about a base package. What we're now going to do is offer different subscription bundles. So we will actually look at providing either thematic or regional bundles, which again you can just simply bolt onto your system. If we could go on to the next one. So that gives an overview of what we now call Cornerstone Content Anytime Essentials. So this is the base cable TV package. This is the starting of the Netflix experience. The content curation team have worked with 5 providers to produce some of the best titles in a 9 taxonomy structure. It really is a simple plug and play solution. All of the course titles are just preloaded into your LMS. We do all of that work for you. We would encourage you to get the best experience for your learners by using the Learner Experience platform, the platform that Trish has demonstrated, and actually that you let people run loose with this. You don't assign it to a curriculum, that you don't necessarily trap it down and start pushing that training out. This is bottom-up learning. This is Netflix, this is Spotify, this is getting people to share their experiences with each other and go and get engaged with modern workplace learning. We feel this is mainly, I guess, micro-learning, and there's a huge debate as to whether people feel micro-learning is powerful in the workplace or not. But with 20 years learning experience, before we devised the learning experience platform, we had enough knowledge and enough big data, the anonymized data that we can collect, to show that actually it was the micro-learning was the biggest trend. It's the stuff that people would take, they would consume, they would repeat. So we know that actually by putting a bundle of these micro-learning courses in a 9 taxonomy structure, it's just really simple and easy for people to digest, to understand and to engage with. If you look there, I said for the European audience, there are some basic European languages covered off. There is also an English-only version of this available. We're a global organisation, so that was really set in mind with the US audience, but you've got choice. On top of that, this is the base pack. You'll then have the different regional bundles that will be available. So an example, in Spain, we've been talking to our sales teams, and they know that we don't just need Spanish content from perhaps a UK provider that offers a localized option. We'll also be looking to develop content partnerships with Spanish companies. So we'll be able to make sure that we're meeting their needs both regionally, locally, but also if we need to globally. If we could go on to the next slide. How are we doing?
Really good, yeah, we're fine.
So then on the custom curated bundles, this is the option where if Content Anytime, a subscription model, the Netflix of learning, wasn't going to work for your organisation, then this is where my team and I understand your learning needs. We take you through a process of discovery. That's just simply finding about how your learners want to learn, how they engage, what your company's doing, what the key learning areas are, and we can help you navigate to the right choice of provider. We do, of course, make sure that people can try these courses, so we also have a Cornerstone evaluation portal. So we give you the courses, we let you try them, perhaps share them with people internally in your organisation to make sure that you're going to buy the right type of course for you. People work in really different ways, and all we do is we partner with you and get to understand how you want to work. Some people buy huge libraries, hoping that they'll be successful, but tradition has also shown there that where you buy these huge libraries of learning content, just because that's a really simple option, perhaps it's a multi-year deal and you've attracted a discount, you suffer with low utilisation after a number of years. So people are now buying smaller bundles of content, but not just from one provider, perhaps 4 or 5. Typically within Europe, you see people buy a substantial library, but now split between 4 and 6 providers, just so that you're also then mixing up learning styles and modalities. Perhaps you're buying compliance courses, health and safety courses, but of course you still want your soft skills courses. So that gives you an option to bundle courses together. It covers a slightly wider range than the taxonomy structure for the Netflix model. So again, still relatively simple, but covers a broader topic area. If we go on to the next one. So from a learning content perspective, today is around engaging the modern learner, managing the skills gap, but also making sure that we're thinking of deploying the right content so that people want to use it and want to share it. If you want to ask any questions, it's probably not so easy in a group setting here because it's a little loud, but our stand is literally just behind us. So we're here to talk to you, to share, to show the content. Trish can show you the actual portal and show you it on different devices. We can also show you more detail around the content that's available from our partners. We also wanted to bring to your attention that we've got a great event coming up where we work with the IDC. So we work with a group of analysts where we've worked with them now I think for the 3rd year, where we'll actually start to take you through the innovation tour, so looking at skills, culture and models of success. We've worked with the IDC for, I think it is now the 3rd year, and what that really brings to light is it's not just Cornerstone saying what we understand and the trends that we identify with our client base, it's actually somebody going out and doing some actual really deep and meaningful research. We pull those things together, that's how we develop our product, that's how the platform's developed, that's how Content Anytime was born, as an example. So this is also a really good way. There's a way of registering on the link there, but please come and join us. We've got many events throughout the year in Cornerstone. Thank you for your time today.
Lovely, thank you.